Hey, welcome everybody. We're going to have a quick hangout today. It's not going to be very long. It's only going to be about an hour. Unfortunately, I do have things to do today, and I really wanted to get to this. I've been telling people I was going to have this hangout for quite some time, and I've been procrastinating it, and I just figured today would be a good day to do it. And the reason I want to have this hangout is due to the fact that there's a lot of people, not just on G+, but also on Facebook, that I believe I don't know if it's no longer productive to have discussions with. And let me give you guys my arguments on this, and you guys tell me what you think, because I do want your opinion on this, because this is a complete double-edged sword. We all realize that there are issues dealing with people that are putting out scientific misinformation, people that are just either physically defect in their mental capacity or have some kind of willful disregard for facts and reality. So I want to talk a little bit about the efficacy of having discussions with morons. And I'm not talking about your average Joe Blow moron, right? We all have morons we know and love. Hey, Cyborg. Exactly. Hey, you know what? Cyborg, we love you. Love you, man. So, yeah, I mean the actual morons, the professional ones. Yes, exactly, Cyber. The professional morons, because we know they do exist. So I want the pros and cons, because I look at it this way. There is a certain limit that I have, and after that limit, I don't really want to do much with anybody else, or to be with them any longer. And let me tell you why. I think initially when somebody comes onto the scene and they put out some bullshit, it is our obligation to confront them on that bullshit, especially if it's dangerous. I mean, if people are putting out things like B17 is a cure for cancer, or if people are putting out flat earth or young earth narratives, and I do think they are dangerous, and I think they are crippling to children. I think they do hobble abilities for people later on in life. I've had a number of people have told me that later on in life they did poorly because of what they did or didn't learn growing up. They learned misinformation and they didn't learn correct information. So I have had a number of stories of it being dangerous to people when they believe this kind of misinformation. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about believing in God. Not the same thing. And I do not want to conflate them, nor to think anybody else out there should conflate them. I don't think that indoctrination to religion is on par with indoctrination to think that the earth is flat or 7,000 years old. So I was going to introduce you in a second. I know you're ANC, girl. I was going to say, I've got two people in here that I know and love and respect for their opinions, because they put out a lot of shit and they want to be noticed, like she's doing now. See, notice me, notice me, notice me. Hi, AO.
You just asked a question.
What was your question, AO? I'm sorry. What? I'm noticing you now. Sorry.
It wasn't my question. It was your question, you dickhead.
Oh, what was my question?
What are the benefits of... Well, you said, what are the benefits of allowing morons to speak?
Are we jumping right into that now? Okay, I was like doing the intro first, but that's okay.
I didn't come for a fashion show.
You can do the...
Yeah.
I know, AO is live twice in one day. Aren't we lucky today? Yeah, well, real quick, I got Heretic and I got AO in here, obviously.
My point on that is you said we shouldn't conflate religious people with morons. I completely agree with that. If we look at some of the most successful, even scientists, they were religious people. Saying religious people in general are morons is moronic in itself.
I agree with that.
But I think that when you said we shouldn't compare it, I think in some cases we can. In the cases in which they're trying to teach young earth creationism in schools.
That's what I said,
when they're trying to tell women they need to be mutilated or any other kind of things.
She may have missed that.
Yeah, I think you may have missed that part because I said the exact same thing. We're on the same wavelength here.
Oh, sorry, I might have actually missed that.
But you know what? It's good to have confirmation.
If you're gonna make introductions, you better do it quick, dude.
Yeah, I've learned. You know what? I've learned to speak very quickly when I do my intros because I'm going to be stopped in a matter of 30 seconds. It's okay. I love you for it.
No,
okay.
I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. Let me just interrupt right there.
Okay, who are you again? Yeah. AO who? You got two letters for your name. You couldn't come up with a full one?
What?
Oh, by the way.
So anyway, I'll introduce myself.
Do it. Go ahead, please.
Fabulous as fuck. I'm Demi Smith, and I make YouTube videos under the channel name Anti-Ordinary about religious stuff, LGBT stuff, anti-theism, all of those sexy topics. So if you want to come and join me,
You realize you just doxed yourself, right? You didn't realize you just doxed
So
yourself?
back to the conversation without me being a fame whore.
Ayo, you realize you just doxed yourself, right?
Pardon?
You realize you just doxed yourself, right?
By saying my name in public, but
yes.
my name is public.
Yes, I realize that, but still, I don't care. But other people be like, "Oh my God, doxer, doxer, doxer." Wait, I'm like, you can't dox yourself. Well, you can, but you know.
Well, can you dox yourself?
I don't know.
Two,
I don't think so.
I think
doesn't doxing include releasing private information?
I think you can dox yourself, but it's not a harmful dox. Like if I say my name is Steve McRae, you know, that's doxing if I never gave it out before, but I'm allowed to do that because it's my name.
Yeah.
Oh, so we can call you by your name now because it's your name.
I thought doxing only applied to someone releasing private information.
I don't know. That's a different ethical issue.
And
that's a different
and
subject.
Like the date of birth and things like that.
Okay, we're 5 minutes in and already derailed. Awesome.
Well, I was gonna say I use my real name everywhere from the beginning. So
yeah, and I know both your real names. I just generally don't use them on air. Yeah.
I'm Deborah. I usually go by Heretic Woman, but I'm Deborah, and I have 2 podcasts / YouTube shows, and I'm panelist on a third, and we talk about atheisty things. And one show I read the Quran for fun because we know that's lots
full
fun.
Quranic.
Oh yeah,
I'm actually going to subscribe to you now just for the Quran readings.
It's called Full Quranic. It's not on YouTube. It's on www.fullquranic.com. It's a podcast.
Okay, cool.
Well, I think the general consensus is by looking at the chat. And by the way, I do like the fact chat is recorded now. That is awesome. I do think it's awesome. So I do think you can dox yourself. I think we all mostly agree on that. I think that it may not be obviously something that is malicious, but you can definitely accidentally dox yourself. And if you can accidentally dox yourself, that's a subcategory of doxing.
Okay, no, but there's a difference. I notice your sly moves, Steve.
I am slick like that.
Accidentally doxing yourself is different from giving out your name, isn't it?
Well, no. If I give out my real name and it's an accident.
You don't know my real name's Demi Smith. It is, but you don't know that.
I can call you whatever I want at this point.
Call me sexy bitch. That is the best one.
Can we talk about crazy people now?
Yeah, let's talk about morons. Let's go back to the moron thing. Yeah. So,
by the way, I was just going to point out, Booleanator says he's wearing doxers. I'm curious as to what those look like, actually.
I know Dockers. Dockers is they make pants and shorts.
About boxers?
No, doxers.
No, he said doxers.
Really?
Doxers.
Interesting.
Anyway.
All right, back to morons. So let's talk about the efficacy here, because people have been saying, and again, not specifically referring to anybody on G+, GDC, or Twitter. There's somebody on not Twitter, Facebook. There's actually somebody on Facebook that I think is literally a moron, and I mean that by the medical terminology, that their IQ is around 60 probably. So I understand that there's obviously entertainment value to be had. Let's not kid ourselves. We're not above the fray and say we're not entertained by the stupid shit that some people say. We get it.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, and this is the direction I'm heading, and now I'm going to ask for your guys' opinion on this after I give you guys my opinion. I think it's perfectly fine to point out the crazy ass shit that people say when it comes to science and misinformation and correct them. I have no problem with that. Where I draw the line is actually engaging them in a more formal setting on those topics. Now, informal's fine. Discussion, and even a debate, I guess is okay. But I'm talking about when they have a hangout or they want somebody to come into their room, talk about their understanding of cancer or something. I personally don't engage with any of that stuff. I think that does kind of give them legitimacy, because then they say, oh, look, we have all these smart people coming into our room and we're engaged with them on their level. And I think that that's just absurd. To compare some of these people to the level of people that we have with the educational value that that people bring to the table, I don't see the point. Now, if you just want to do it for entertainment value, I do get that. But when their information is dangerous, is it? My question is it more ethical to just not engage with them at that point and then call them out? You not call them out, but refute them, on your own channels and things like that, or do you actually engage them in real time on the issue? What do you think?
Well, I think you're talking about two slightly different things here. So what you're saying, you're concerned about giving them legitimacy by the caliber of the person who is doing the refutation. And I think that's a little bit different than like myself as a general like say if somebody's talking about vaccines give you autism. I've never studied immunology. I don't have any scientific knowledge to back that up, but I can still jump in and say you're a dumbass, don't say that. And which is a lot different than somebody with a PhD in immunology coming forward and spending oodles of time with that person who's being an idiot, right? So I think there is a bit of a risk for someone who is a high caliber, extremely lettered, educated person giving time to some peon who's like, my vaccines are gonna make my kids autistic, and and somebody like myself coming up and saying you're a dumbass, right?
No, I think there's I think there's
there.
a slightly difference there. Sure, I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ale.
I was going to make the same distinction as you. So, like, let's say if we're talking about philosophy, Steve, you're quite educated, well versed on philosophy. I would be
No, I'm
correct
not.
in saying that.
No,
yeah?
I'm not. But thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just assume you are. Okay,
Assume yes.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I agree with you. Me, I'm a dumbass, so I can refute dumb shit without it being some sort of academic statement.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Well, you're not a
and
dumbass,
my
but I agree
word-
with you there.
My personal word holds no more weight than the moron saying something. But if you've got, I don't know, an immunologist in the house discussing anti-vaxxers, then it's kind of like someone who is well educated on a topic giving credence to something so ridiculous to their understanding that it kind of slightly validates a person, but thinking, oh, well, they entertained me, so they must think I have some validity.
Exactly.
So I agree with you on the point. If you are a well-educated person, both of you, if you're a well-educated person, then yeah, you probably should avoid having discussions with laymen's that are so far out of recovery. Like someone that believes the earth is flat, or someone that thinks fucking aliens run the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I agree with you.
People.
Lizard people. But if it's me, I have nothing to back up my opinions. I can only say my opinions. So I'm not speaking from a level of authority, and therefore people watching it are not swayed by my academic history. They're swayed by my arguments. So it's a bit different. I would agree with Heretic Women or Deborah. Did I say that right?
Heretic.
Yeah, Deborah's good. Heretic is fine, whatever.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that.
Canadian, whatever.
I definitely agree because look at what I've noticed is this.
Canadian.
And what I've noticed is this, and follow this, that when you have people this potato, I mean, there's a degree of level of incompetence that we have seen that you could not have ever imagined anywhere else. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, these people are just plain freaking stupid. There is no other way to put it. Yes. I can't be nice about it. Nobody else needs to be nice about it. Yeah. I'm not trying to be demeaning. They are subpar educated, subpar in their mentality, their understanding, and they think they're freaking geniuses. Let's be realistic. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Can I interject something?
Yes,
are we talking about average people? Are we talking about, like you said, paid morons?
We're talking about a very specific group of people. and I'm not naming names, but a
People
very
that
specific group of
get
people.
paid to be like people like Alex Jones, who make a lot of money off of being ridiculously
I think Alex
stupid.
Jones is actually brilliant in what he does. Disagree with him on everything. I think he's a con man. I think he's a farce. I think he needs to be shut down. I think he's a danger, but he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's dangerous, but he is not a dumb.
yeah,
he's not dumb. He's not a moron. He's made a fortune doing this shtick.
Successful.
Yeah.
No one can say he's not successful, but
I don't believe he believes any of that shit.
Say Hitler was successful.
Well, Hitler probably wasn't very.
Success doesn't equal validity in a discussion.
No. We're talking about a very specific group of people. But I'm not going to go into names.
What would that group be?
So here's the thing. Look, when you have somebody who doesn't even understand when they're wrong, when it is pointed out to them by multiple people with advanced degrees on a very simple concept. I mean, just the other day we had somebody in a live feed who was saying something that was utterly wrong. We had an internist, we had a bunch of other people that actually knew about the topic, saying this is not correct. You're reading something from an abstract that you don't understand. At that point, where do you go? Because they don't know what they're reading, and when they're being corrected on it, they don't even know enough to know when they're completely being wrong. So why do we have the discussions with them?
Well, that's just the Dunning-Kruger effect at its finest.
And I'll tell you why. Yeah, you're right. I'll tell you why I have those discussions, and it has nothing to do with the idiot that I am talking to. It's about who's watching. It's always about who's watching for me. I never, ever, ever go into a quote debate, if you can sometimes call them that, because sometimes they aren't really. But I never go into it with the idea that I'm going to change the mind of the person I'm talking to ever, because that's 99.99% of the time never going to happen. But it's about the people who might be reading or watching it, because there are going to be people that aren't sure of their position, or they might be doubting how they've been looking at things. And by providing an alternative to the possible echo chamber that they've been hearing, or just an alternative to what they've been reading in general, it can change that person's mind. And to me, that's what it's all about. And that's why I will talk to virtually any idiot that I come across that wants to engage me.
Well, what about the people that have a professional title that have something to lose about their reputation?
Yeah, that's totally different. Absolutely. So in that respect, I think that they need to be way more choosy about who they engage with.
See, that's my argument. I think so too.
That's kind of a perk that I have as a layperson in virtually everything, is that I don't have to worry about those restrictions, right? I get to engage with whatever moron comes around and verbally spank them until I'm satisfied, or they rage quit and leave. And then, hopefully I've made an impact somewhere, that somebody will not just take what I've said, but at least be intrigued enough that they go and learn more on their own. That's my hope.
Yeah, no, and I think that's perfectly fine to do that. AO does that. That's her style. Yeah.
I completely agree with Heretic's point that, well, at least for me and for her, that it's more about reaching people on the other side of the screen, so to speak. And there are so many people that I've met in comment sections and things that say their life has been changed just by randomly hearing some random person say something they've never heard before. I think that, like, it depends, because it's on an individual basis, doesn't it? So how much do you know about this person? Are they someone that is essentially a professional moron? Or are they just someone you don't know that might be swayed, and they just have really dumb ideas, but they could be persuaded?
But here's the thing, you don't know initially.
Wait, sorry, Steve. Let me finish my thing.
Yes,
you don't know whether a person. Okay, that's why I said, unless it's quite obvious online and they have a lot of material of them acting that way, you don't know whether or not they could be persuaded. And if you make an assumption that they're just too dumb to ever think differently,
Yes.
Yeah, let me clarify this. Let me clarify if I can. First of all, anybody, this is open hanging. Anybody can come in, but you have to go through Heretic Woman. I just can't at the moment.
So I'm
message her on Facebook.
Open on Facebook, or I have Discord open as well.
Yeah.
So if you message me on Facebook, Discord, or Google Plus, I will give you a link.
Yeah, anybody can come in. You just have to go through her. So let me clarify though. I'm not talking about the persons that we don't know very well. I'm not talking about the person that obviously looks like a moron, but we want to engage with them. I am talking about the frequent flyer professional moron. Okay.
Right.
There is a point that I don't know what good comes from it anymore. I just don't. I'm not going to block people from coming in here, right? Any professional moron can come in and say what they got to say. I don't give a shit. But I don't see the point of actual experts engaging with them in their rooms. Now, I'm not, again, do anything you want, but I'm wondering, after a point when they realize that they're not making headway, after a point where it's just become a slinging of trash talking fest and attacks against their character, at that point, should there be an ethical concern to say, you know what, this person is just a moron. I cannot, in good conscience, any longer deal with them because they take what they have said, the experts have said, and they've maliciously ran with them and changed the context, changed the things, and I don't know if there's a benefit of them engaging with them. Now, again, I'm not advocating that any person does anything, what they do is what they do. I'm just wondering, is there a point where you got to say enough?
Well, like Heretic said, for me, I'm a layman's person, so I was only speaking from that perspective. But like you said, if we specify only highly educated professionals, then I think none of them should really engage in many of these discussions unless they're high.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, fellow moron is someone
somebody who's got a similar level of education would be someone who they should engage with.
Hey, your favorite.
Talking about,
oh, sorry.
What you're talking about with your professional morons, and I can think of one that I've tangled with more than once, and you've tangled with that person, and they like to howl at the moon, if you know what I mean.
Yes. That's what sparked this, by the way. Yeah. That exactly.
I kind of figured. Yeah. I kind of figured. Howl at the moon, man. Yes.
Yes.
I was talking about a man that starts with G.
No.
No.
There's a lot of things that went into this, but there was a final thing that I was just like, okay, this is a level of moronic that I can't comprehend any longer to deal with.
But let me tell you something though. That person has a channel that people watch.
No, they don't. No, they don't. He gets about 12 views.
Well, okay, but still, those are 12 people that might get swayed by that idiocracy. And he goes into groups all the time. Everywhere I go, practically trying to get people to engage, and it's yes, he doesn't change. He has no intention of changing. He is a professional moron. I think that on occasion, it's okay to kind of give him a smackdown occasionally, just to kind of be like, "Yep, he's still a moron." You know what I mean? Like, if at any point it looks like he might be gaining traction, then we definitely need to do something about that.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
Sorry, I was going nuts in your live chat.
No worries. And by the way, AO, your favorite fanboy is here. Hey, Hunter. He is a fanboy of yours.
It's weird.
Yeah. You guys would have beautiful children if that was possible.
Anyone likes me. So can I just say, it depends what you view as more valuable, Steve. Do you view the potential of affecting someone's life on the other side of the screen, regardless of the person you're talking to, as meaningless, or do you feel that is inherently meaningful?
No, I think it's meaningful.
If you think it's meaningful, then it would stand that you should discuss these things because you could affect the people behind the screen. But if you don't think that it's beneficial, then it would make sense not to engage.
All right, well, let me give you my reasoning. I think it's beneficial. However, there are some instances where it's not. Heretic, what the person she's referring to, doesn't allow you to speak. Doesn't allow you to make your case. Will spend 90 minutes bloviating, shotgunning a shit ton of bad science that there's no possible way you can get to. And then what happens is the person either rage quits, leaves, or whatever, and the person looks bad. That's his whole modus operandi. His whole goal is to either get you to leave, get you to quit, or just mute you to the point where you can't even respond to anything he's saying.
Yeah.
But does that make you look bad?
It does to his people.
It does to his people, yeah. But then I guess now,
which is like 5
devil's
people.
advocate for a second. I was going to say devil's advocate for a second, though. If they're, quote, his people, are they going to see you in any other way regardless?
Right, but that point is, why bother? Why would I waste my time?
Like that particular person, I would not bother, because I tried to get them on my show, and when they couldn't have everything exactly to their way, they pitched a fit and rage quit.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, the comments, just FYI, because I'm streaming, the comments that you put up on the side chat for the group chat will be aired. Oh. Just FYI, so be careful.
Oh.
But it's okay. No, I mean, the only reason. No, listen. The only reason why I'm not mentioning his name, the only reason, and literally, is because I don't give a shit enough about him to even mention his name. Seriously, I just don't give a fuck about this guy. But I think
everybody can see it now.
Yeah, but I think the principle. Hang on.
Who we're talking about? I needed to be filled in. I don't think I recognize that channel.
His name's Eric Joel. Yeah, his name's Eric Joel. But I don't care about him specifically. I'm talking about the principle. I'm talking about that type of behavior that I want to address. Not him. Who gives a fuck about him? Let's talk about that type of behavior for future reference when we see somebody who's incapable of actually having a dialogue on these topics and is too fucking stupid to even understand the basics. This guy was literally saying there's a fixed half-life for collagen. It was just something like a radionucleide.
That's potato. But Steve, going back to the Dunning-Kruger effect that you guys were talking about, because this guy definitely demonstrates it, or whatever the hell. Do you guys know? Do you guys know the original story? Behind what brought on, what caused the how do I put this? What inspired the initial, the initial studies? Yeah, the initial concept. What story? What story inspired the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. You can tell us. It'd be great.
Oh. Wait! I'll just tell you. Okay, it was this guy called MacArthur Wheeler. RC told me about him, and I can't stop laughing. How stupid this guy was! Like, Jesus Christ, how dumb do you have to be to think that lemon juice makes you invisible to cameras? He goes to rob.
Oh, I do. I have heard something.
And then when they caught him, he says, "But I wore the juice. He was literally incapable of telling how stupid he was." And I was doing. Hang on. And and I was doing a little reading on it or whatever, and I've actually noticed there are two sides to the Dunning-Kruger effect. You have people like that guy who doesn't know he's stupid, but then you have people who are competent, they have people who are competent. Stuff comes easy for him, and they think it's because it's easy for them. It's easy for others.
That is true. There is more sides to that than DK. Yeah, that is actually another part of DK that's out there. Although that's not the harmful side that I see. Right? I mean that does exist. Yeah.
Hello.
The Dunning-Kruger effect can be explained by a person that lacks the adequate information to make assessments, assumes they have more information than required, and the person that has the information assumes that others also have that information.
Yes, there are two sides, or not real. There's more sides to it. There's more, it's a spectrum, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear
definitely.
me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Is my audio bad? Because this is my phone.
No, it's okay.
No, you're good.
It's all right.
Good.
Okay.
It's decent for a phone.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't
You know,
checked
the
out,
key missing ingredient is self-awareness. You don't know if you're incompetent. You don't know you're incompetent.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the dumbest people on earth
Like,
think that they're the smartest. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think, yeah, you're good, Bailey.
All right, cool.
I honestly think that Eric, for example, he believes most of this shit.
Oh, he does.
Like,
No, he's
he
a
has
firm
never
believer.
met
Yes.
he's never met a conspiracy he didn't love. And like, well, honestly, I'm surprised I've never seen lizard people on his channel, because I'm sure he believes that too. But he believes this stuff, and what I gleaned from watching a couple of his quote debates, he's got this library of pseudoscience that he believes is real, and he trots this crap out because he doesn't understand it.
Exactly.
And there's your Dunning-Kruger. He has no idea what it, like, he can say the words, and he thinks he's making this well-reasoned scientific argument. But even me, as a completely non-science person with virtually no training in it whatsoever, I can look at it and go, that's bullshit. But for whatever reason, he's incapable of seeing that. So he thinks he's having I think he really does think that people are afraid to debate him.
He does. He
Even though
literally
he
does.
He does.
But it's not just a
He
pseudoscience.
literally
He has
does.
actual science. Like, people will, and I notice this a lot, not just with him. Tommy does it as well. They'll cite all these papers that they've never read, don't understand, don't know the words, and so they think that it's somehow supporting their argument. That's
Because
DK.
They just quote mine. They go on Google and they type, "Oh my God, what is it that I want to agree with?" And then they look for that, and then they just quote mine essentially.
Correct.
So they take a tiny little quote out of a long paper and use that as evidence for what they believe. But that's just retarded. Sorry to say that.
And if you guys haven't watched it yet, go to a Kid News 5 channel. He has 2 videos on Eric, and they're freaking a riot.
Retarded.
They are freaking a riot.
Quick! Can I give Nestle the link?
Yeah, you give anybody a link.
This is a time when you're allowed to say something is retarded, because it is.
Well, no. I said potato before because I didn't want to use the word retarded because it's an insult to retarded people. Then again,
if you give power to a word, the word will have power over you.
Ooh.
Fair
I
enough.
agree, but
I'm on that.
By the way, Hunter, how are
He is
you?
a
I saw you
potato,
sneak in, but I haven't really acknowledged you left. You're looking very metro today.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm growing it
With
out.
that perfectly
trying to
groomed
look as
beard.
manly as I possibly
Man, I
can.
wish my beard was that fly.
Yeah, it is pretty fly.
Actually,
I got an Oompa Loompa beard. Like, you know their little head of hair? I got that on my face.
yeah.
yeah.
My phone.
How you
Let me
been?
see if I can get my camera working.
Oh boy, here we go.
Nobody wants to see you, Cyborg.
We're having
Hey,
a beard
nobody
off.
wants.
No one wants
Hair
to
off.
see you.
I know. I was just gonna say that. Don't worry.
But I think, like, as long as a lot of these people don't have many people buying into their bullshit,
have
I think
children.
it is largely better to ignore them whenever possible.
Okay, so let's
Yep.
let's look at. Okay, how about this? How about this?
For example,
Let's talk about something that's actually
Steve, what would you
dangerous.
say-
What, Al?
What would
Yeah.
you say about, okay, so recently, I'm just going to say his name because I can't be bothered to pussyfoot around. G-Man said, cold fucking scientist male, equivalent to a Nazi, okay? I'm making
The
a
guy who's
response-
all right with slavery.
So I'm making a response video to his fucking stupidity. Do you think that I shouldn't do that?
Oh, I don't have a problem with the
Another
response
person,
video for that, no.
deconverted man say to me today, he thinks I should just ignore it because I only give him more of a platform.
No,
Yeah,
I
that
am
was
fine.
cool.
Let me give my 2 cents first. I think it's perfectly fine to make a response video for that.
Mic check.
Again, yeah, you're fine.
Sorry.
So the thing is I'm more concerned, and I think that should be responded to. I have no problem with that. Do what you got to do, right? And I'm sure you're gonna do a very effective job. You make great videos. My concern, and obviously that is a huge concern. I have denounced it. I think it's reprehensible. I just think it's the most disgusting thing you can call a person as a Nazi or compare them to Hitler. I have personal,
Yes.
I just think it's ridiculous. But But I find that the B17 thing to me is what's dangerous, because obviously we all have vested interest in that. Mm-hmm. We all have people that we know have had cancer.
Yes.
You know, my cousin has cancer now, but she's doing well. My brother died of cancer. I know everybody else has had cancer in their lives. So for him to put out what I think is willful disregard for human life information, at that point, what do you do? I mean, I think that you should denounce it on your channels. I think you should have massive videos against it. No problem with that. But is it ethical to go in and have a scientist at this point talk to him in a hangout, especially his own, on this topic where he controls the narrative?
Well, okay, Steve. I have to. Sorry, hold on.
Let Midnight go first. Hang on. Let Midnight go first, and then AO. Go ahead, Midnight.
Okay, I had the perfect solution. A scientist should not waste their time talking to these idiots because they're scientists. However, people who are, the laymen or ordinary people per se, can respond to them as much as they want. There, problem solved.
Okay, well here, hang on. Let me address it real quick, and then AO. I understand what you're saying, but for hypothetical situations, let's say you're a layperson, and you go in, you start talking to one of these people on B17, and you don't know enough about the topic, and they're making you look like an idiot. Now, so far I haven't seen that. You don't have to know much about this topic, and I'm so far that has happened to literally nobody. I can't imagine this group making anybody look like an idiot. But let's for hypothetical situation, if that's possible. Should we be cognitive of that? Should we have some awareness that is a possibility?
Okay.
Well, yes, you're right. That should be that is a possibility, but at the same time, the scientist is too busy doing research to entertain these guys.
Good point.
A layman or a lay person or has more time.
If the scientist has the time, I'm more than happy to watch some dude headbutt a wall.
Yeah.
Okay, AO, you were going
we
next.
have people coming here all the time talking to us,
Yeah, go ahead, AO.
I kind of take issue. I love this topic. I'm not trying to be a bitch, Steve, but
no, you are a bitch. That's what we love you for. Don't ever stop being a bitch. God, you would lose all your subs.
So
thanks, Steve.
She's the most fabulous bitch I know, and I say that in love.
Oh.
Okay, so what I want to say is I take issue with using the term or the word ethical, because that doesn't efficacy refer to morality. And I don't think there's anything inherently morally bad with these discussions, even if you are a scientist.
Not necessarily.
Ethical.
Well,
ethical can deals with things like bioethics as well, right? I mean, efficacy deals with a lot of different things.
Let me just get the definition.
I mean, a lot of people use efficacy or ethical with morality interchangeably. Okay. However, it's slightly more useful to use ethics in things of science and business than it is morals. Like, you don't say business morals, you say business ethics, right?
These are the two definitions I got up for ethics from dictionary.com, I think. One definition is relating to moral principles or the branch of knowledge dealing with these, so moral principles. Or two, of medicine legally available or only doctors prescribed, usually not advertised to the general public. So both of those definitions don't hold any real.
Yeah, like I said, I don't use colloquial definitions, as you know, but yeah, I mean, we all have had some kind of ethics courses, and especially business ethics. We've all sat. I think most of us have. Anybody who's been in business has sat through, God knows how many courses on business ethics. From everything from even sexual harassment classes, right? Those deal with ethics, right? Those are ethics in the workplace.
Yeah, but ethics is, oh my God. Yeah, but I'm sorry, Steve. Sexually harassing someone is unethical. It's immoral. So, yeah,
that's why it's part of ethics. That's exactly my point. That's why it's unethical. You disagreed why it's an ethical thing. It's unethical.
That's because it's immoral to grope a woman or a man.
Okay, so objective morality time. No, I'm kidding. So
I don't know. Having a semantic discussion, I just felt annoyed by that. Carry on.
She was triggered.
I have to wonder if maybe.
Oh yeah, you're awesome. Triggered. Oh, by the way, we're going to show you how to do that. Wait. I felt bad for you. We're going to show you how to do the rainbow thing. Okay. I'm going to figure out how to do it myself and show you how to do the rainbow. What?
Oh, that's
Does
so
everyone
sweet.
here sparkle?
Yeah, what was that?
I sparkle, I guess.
Oh.
No,
Really?
no, that's the South Park.
I saw that one
Sparkle.
coming. I totally
Yeah,
saw that
but
one
you
coming.
see, I'm an old goth, and real vampires don't sparkle.
Well, yeah, of course. That was the dumbest
No,
thing I've
man,
ever seen in that
that's
movie.
blasphemy to fucking
Sorry.
Lord Harkon.
No.
They don't
that's-
sparkle,
I-
they smoke.
So
Yeah,
going back to
still
I only have
okay.
an hour. I do got to end this exactly on the hour. I
Yeah.
have a friend coming over today. Yay, friends.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So
I have.
Steve has friends.
yeah, I do. I got one. I got one friend that
lives.
lives in the area. She's really cool. But she's coming over for a while.
Oh,
I'm trying to keep you on topic here.
I am
dude.
talking about a female friend. Fuck you. How often did I get a chance to do that?
Yeah.
And yes, before you all
Yeah.
gotta say it, she is hot, but whatever. Okay, but here's the thing.
oh
Look,
my gosh.
The hot one we said after you.
So much for the secret.
I didn't say any names,
Yeah.
and I didn't go to details. Only you know that, AO. Nobody else on this panel knows anything about that but you.
Yeah, and I.
We
Her
want
being
details.
hot is enough of a detail.
I
No,
tell
we want more
AO
details.
is my official new confidant.
No,
and
I don't.
obviously-
I don't want any more details.
Oh, yes,
Keep
you
it to
do.
yourself.
Oh,
I
I'm gonna
want more
do.
details.
I am
Yeah.
telling you everything.
No, curious.
You are
Yeah.
getting myopic detail every night. Like you're gonna get like this like what is it called? Briefing. AO.
Oh, is that what y'all call it? Briefing?
I need AO's advice on everything. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She gives
It
good
just came
advice.
across
Not
as
gonna lie.
like-
You should do that. You should be like an advice columnist. You know.
Carry
Whenever
on, correct.
I was gonna say I have a point whenever you're done
Go for
talking
it.
about your love life.
No, I did. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Triggered. He got
Triggered.
triggered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to say, I wonder if
Steve
there
McTriggered.
isn't a way where a professional, and we're largely talking about science stuff, although it could happen with other topics as well. But let's just, for the sake of discussion, say a science professional who comes across a professional moron who's spouting bullshit all over the place. I would say it might be better for that professional to look for a way to debunk what's being said without specifically giving attention to that professional
I think that's
moron.
brilliant. Yes.
So yeah, so like if you encounter a channel that's saying bullshit, and say they have the time to do a response video, not talk about that particular person, but position said response video so that that person's followers are likely to see it.
Yeah, no, I agree with
But
you. And
my
that's exactly why I didn't mention, like Eric's name on this particular video, right? Because I don't want to give
Yeah.
Eric any
Yeah.
legitimacy. I don't give a fuck about him. But that
Yeah.
type of behavior is ubiquitous among professional morons.
Well, and I was going to say how I kind of tune how I interact with people has a lot to do with my main life motto, which is know what your adversary wants and never give it to them. So if seriously, that's
No, I know. I'm just laughing. But
Yeah.
But
But
my concern. Go
Yeah.
ahead, sorry.
I was just going to
was
say, if you know what they want to get out of an interaction, so you figure they just want, they want views, they want attention, they want validation, whatever. If you know what that is, you can position yourself so that you don't give it to them.
That's true, but my concern with that is that how are people gonna like if you're responding to a video, usually you put the original source there so people can see the full original source, because
Just
like I don't know, there's
talk about the point made in the video. You don't need to.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
That's
exactly.
kind of just
Yes,
like a
see,
social-
one reason people post the source is because it looks like they're slandering, and if you
Yeah, no,
post the
I
source,
agree
you know
with you.
that person
I agree
said
with
that
Can
shit.
I just say there's
Yes.
no obligation to link these into the discussion. Like,
That's
yes,
right.
it's a socially acceptable thing to do. I link all of my response videos, but there's no obligation.
well,
It's
no, I
just-
mean there's
You
no
don't have to
obligation.
make it. You don't have to make it a response to that specific person, though.
Right, make
and
it to
that
the
would be the point.
make it to their
would be-
argument.
Would be take Yeah, it would be
Or
to
what they're
take
saying.
for those of you who are espousing this particular argument. Here's my rebuttal.
Yeah, I could say, look,
Right.
there are people that have been putting forth something along the lines of B17
Make it a
amygdalin
general,
being a cure for cancer. Let me explain this, and this, and then they go into details why.
Yes. Yes.
Then you're just
See,
debunking B17 itself. Not you're debunking the
But what
idea.
I'm
Right, exactly.
saying is
yeah,
when
the
you
idea.
when you're doing the debunking as a science professional or professional in general, find a way to promote that video in places where your target person's audience would see it.
Well, that's easy. You just match their
Yeah.
tags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just
Yeah, and
leave
that's the thing. You're not making a response to the
every-
person, so why
Yeah,
post the
match
actual
tags
video?
is good too.
every response
Yeah.
video I do, most of them, I go and put a link to my video in their comment section.
That's good.
Yeah, and I believe that you
So,
should.
like, a
I
lot
believe
of
you
people
should,
have
and
videos
for most
on
things.
there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I do believe you should always give the original link in your video description. I think that's important to do so. However, if somebody's peddling death, I'm not going to link to their channel.
No.
It's not
That's
going to
what I
happen.
was saying. There's no obligation to link these people. We do it out of a social.
Yeah.
It's the same way we ask people, "How are you?" when we really want to have an actual conversation. It's just a social thing that we do, but we're not obligated to do it. So it doesn't make you immoral or unethical for not sourcing their bullshit. You don't
No, I
need
don't
to
think so
infect
either.
people with
No,
bullshit.
that's just a polite.
Yeah.
That's what I call polite consideration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
And
would
you could
say
even
that.
preface that in your video. You could say, normally I do link my videos, but this is such a horrific idea. I'm not gonna point you to a source.
Right, and I don't think there's a problem with that, do you?
Validating it.
And I've seen lots of people do that. Like even in blog postings, they'll say, "Look, yes, I'm responding to a specific person, but they're such a douche nozzle that I'm not even going to point you at that. You know, if you want to do your googling and find it on
Yeah,
your
I think
own,
that's perfectly
great."
fine.
Nozzle.
But I mean, I do. Like for example, like the video that I put out the other day, which is I had a screen cap of it, and the original video was taken
He's a
down.
catheter too.
Well, hang on, the original video was taken down, so I couldn't link it to it anyways. But I managed to get a screen cap of it, of like when Neffy was saying that he thinks DNA is comprised of amino acids, right? I would have linked to the original video for that. And by the way, I did download the entire original video. I got it right before he took it down, so I have the original video. If anybody wants to have confirmation or anything like that, I have sent it to one person. But that I don't mind sending back to his channel, right? I'm like, here's the original video, go look at it, whatever, because that's not harmful information as far as being something that can kill somebody. If you think that DNA is comprised of amino acids, you're not going to kill somebody for that stupidity. But it does show the level that Nephilim Free's at, right? I mean, here's a guy that's supposed to be a genetic expert on his own self, word that he knows this topic. Yeah, and then everybody who knows anything about basic biology knows the guy's full of shit. And when he says things like this, I find it entertaining, right? It's just pure. I'm not going to front. It's purely entertainment value that he's done this over and over and over again. Not the first time he's done this.
But that's different than the people that say peddle MMS or that weed cures cancer. So yeah,
who was it?
That was Nephilim
Which
Free.
famous peddler was it that tried to sell apricots or whatever?
Well, that's
as like a cure to cancer.
That's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of that crap. There are people that say, weed cures cancer.
No, it helps a little.
Well,
it helps.
It helps you get through the chemo. It helps you get through the chemo. I'd say that.
People out there that make the absolute statement that weed can cure cancer.
And they tell people that chemo is more deadly than the cancer.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part right there. That's the point you cross the line. That's the point where I'm like, you're done.
Absolutely. Like even, and this was a few years ago, but my stepfather, he's very susceptible to pseudoscience and shit. He'd read some book about how sugar and what was it? Aspartame does all kinds of nasty stuff.
Yeah, aspartame was
yeah.
I like aspartame.
I do too. I have an uncle who has Parkinson's disease, and my stepfather was going to go to my uncle and give him a lecture about how, because my uncle also worked for Coca-Cola for many, many years before he became ill. And my stepfather was going to go to my uncle and lecture him on the dangers of aspartame and how it probably gave him his part. And my mother like kicked his ass next week because like, no, you're not going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to my you're not going to my brother-in-law and telling him that shit when he's struggling with something that like profound. Like,
right.
No.
Right.
And my stepfather is not. My stepfather is not a mean person. He's a very caring person. He's just a very easily duped by this shit. He thought he would be helping. Yeah, very caring but gullible. And so he thought he would be helping his brother-in-law if he was to go and tell him all about this incredible stuff that he found out.
Honestly,
and my
I think that's
mother
more dangerous.
Yeah.
I the people, the people. Personally, I think the people who mean well, but they push what you push, are more dangerous than the one who are just.
For instance,
definitely.
Another example, my co-host, almost 3 years ago now, she suffered 2 strokes. Ouch. And after her first stroke, which was the more debilitating of the 2, she was getting, and caveat, before she became an atheist skeptic, she dabbled in the paranormal culture for a while, but she had people telling her that all of this woo-woo crap, but people literally saying that she should stop taking her blood pressure medication, and she will literally stroke out again and die if she does not take her blood pressure.
So Heretic, what do we do about the people that are like that? That the people that are advocating don't take the medicine, don't take the chemo, the Tommy Halls of the world, the G-Mans of the world. What do we do about that?
I think those are the people you can't. If you, I think I agree with you to some degree that if, say, a science professional said, X person has said this and this is my rebuttal, you are giving that person some legitimacy. On the other hand, I think that those science professionals, as much as they have the bandwidth to do so, should be out there saying, if you hear XYZ, you need to tell them to fuck off. Well, you know what I mean.
All right, let me ask.
And don't listen. And here's why, in as close to layperson's terms as I can get it. I think there needs to be more of that happening. And I get that, those professionals are busy trying to find cures for things and trying to heal people, but there needs to be some people out there who do that more often.
Okay, look. Go ahead. Then I want to speak. Go ahead. Let AO go. Then I got to say something. Go ahead, AO.
I would say my experience isn't as crazy as your aunt's. Maybe I got that family member wrong.
My stepfather, but whatever. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. But whatever. Nothing much.
Yeah. You don't know them. It don't matter.
It's just a whole gender and generation. It's okay. So my thing on that is, when I was before I was even diagnosed with mental conditions, I didn't go for treatment. I believed that it was all just a way of dumbing people down. And I had so many spiritual woo people say, don't go get treatment. The doctors are just trying to hide God from you, or whatever bullshit they were talking about.
Keep you medicated so you don't find God. That's a new one.
Holy shit.
So I think that those people hold a massive influence over gullible or vulnerable people. And
you're right.
I think she's absolutely right.
And I think the way, because Steve asked, how do we deal with that? And I think the only true way of dealing with that is to have the people that are educated on the topic explain clearly why the other view is wrong, because I would never have got treatment had that not been the case.
Yeah, no, I think they should, yes.
Wow. You've been diagnosed with a mental disorder. God is calling you.
Can they explain the reasoning why God gave you the mental disorder to begin with? Because I wouldn't mind having that question answered.
The thing is, when you're in the spiritual woo community, God didn't give you a mental disorder. You are normal. You are supposed to have these crazy experiences because God is using you for some special practice.
Okay.
Even worse.
And that's a common thing. People tell you not to get cancer treatment, people tell you not to get mental health treatment or blood treatment or any of these things because secretly the institutions are just trying to control you.
They're trying to vilify them.
I mean, if I can add to something that anti-ordinary whatever she just said. I'm sorry.
Whatever her name is, fuck her. It doesn't matter what her name is.
Okay, no. Okay, look. Say, go. Going back to this, say you have a family member who peddles this stuff. You try to correct them. The one way they could shut you down immediately is ask you, how do you know that? Are you a doctor? Are you a scientist?
Exactly.
Here's
the question I asked.
Depending on the person, you know what I mean?
Here's the question I think that we should ask. And tell me if you guys think this is
the only way to really combat this is by having people well educated and well informed on the topics. Explain why that's wrong.
I agree with that. I agree with that. On their channels or on other channels. I don't. Hang on. My argument is you don't do it on the Morons channel. Right, that's my only argument. I don't see the purpose of doing it on the Morons channel. That's what I'm trying to get across. But let me ask you. Wait, hang on. I want to get this out real quick because I'm running out of time. So I think one of the best questions to ask people is what I asked Tommy the other night, and I think we all should be asking the same question. If you have a treatment plan for cancer, draft it up, right? And get rich off of it, okay? And save millions of lives. If you're look at, and I mean this very sincerely. If Tommies of the world and G-Mans of the world and other fucking people that are putting out this misinformation think they are onto something, why are they not out there publicly putting this in, some kind of journal of medicine to save millions and millions of lives and possibly make millions and millions of money, right? Why aren't they doing this? If they could save one fucking life,
because the company.
Certain people
too.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, here's my, and I kind of was taken off track by what Steve just said. Not that you shouldn't have said it, Steve, but my whole thing is they will take this whole thing and make it look like the scientist is wrong. Who was it? G-Man was asking for Fiona's doctorate. Like, Fiona's not a doctor. Hello.
Well, he's asked for that before. It's been provided. Her thesis has been provided.
Before, but now he's asking for it again. Like, as if seeing her passport with the DR on it wasn't enough. Like, nobody could...
Because they can't attack the information, right? I mean, let's be realistic. Right. Tommy's putting out that narrative that people are scared of his knowledge. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm scared of your lack of it. That's what I'm scared of.
That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. God damn it.
But that's the comical value we take out of it, right? That's what we're all entertained. We all laughed on that because it's fucking funny. We all know it's funny. We're horrible human beings for laughing at that. I get it. I do. But it's fucking funny.
I think, just because something's humorous to people that are smart enough to understand the stupidity in it, at least that much, not the topic itself. It's funny to us, but just because something's funny doesn't mean there isn't a dark side to it. Like, it's funny that these people are so stupid. It's dark that they can affect vulnerable people in such a negative way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But see, you gotta laugh at the darkness of humanity. Dark humor exists for a reason. I mean, not everybody likes dark
I'm into dark humor. I get it.
Yeah, not everybody likes dark humor.
Yeah, I've never said I don't like dark humor. I do like dark humor. I'm not exceptionally dark, but I'm a little on the dark side.
Yeah,
sure.
I know somebody who just doesn't like dark humor for whatever reason. I don't know. That guy's weird.
I can tell you, knowing as many cops as I do, that dark humor really does help with stress sometimes.
Well, exactly.
Hey, real quick. Wait, hang on. Like I said, we're running out of time, so I want to finish this. Like Geo Straber makes a point, and I want to address it. That if they put this out and they said, "Oh, we're going to publish the results and make a fortune," then there's some conspiracy theory that people are going to say that they're preventing them from doing so.
Yeah.
Here's my counter argument. Look, if you're able to cure people, they will come to you. the conspiracy is not going to stop that. If you're able to videotape somebody from start to finish having cancer, and you get that cancer gone by whatever means you're doing, right? And obviously you don't care about ethics, so you don't give a shit the fact you don't have a medical license, right? And I'm not saying actually to do this because you don't have a medical license, and it is unethical to do medicine on people if you don't have a license. So I'm not saying do this, but since these people don't give a fuck anyways, if they were hypothetically able to do this, then the conspiracy theories wouldn't matter. They're saving lives. They don't give a shit anyways. They want to save your soul regardless, right? So they don't care how they do it. So why aren't they out there opening their own little medical professions in a corner, or in the street alley, saving people's lives, right? Because I don't see that happening. Do you?
You know those like evangelical dudes who claim to cure people on stage. Well, none of them work in hospitals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't see psychics win the lottery, and you don't see faith healers working in hospitals. There's a reason for that.
I was going to say they don't have a Benny Hinn wing at the Mayo Clinic.
Because it's like someone
That'd be awesome.
And I'm really forgetting the original person who said it, and it's been passed on a few times recently, is that if alternative medicine worked, it would be called medicine.
Right.
Medicine.
Yeah, it would just be medicine.
Yeah, and I want to make it very clear. I am not against holistic approaches, and I'm not against natural things, okay? People need to distinguish between homeopathy and natural, and things like alternative medicine and natural. I'm fine with natural shit, right? I'm cool with that.
Homeopathy is a fraud.
But homeopathy is a fraud. Yeah, straight up.
That goes out somewhere.
Yeah.
Homeopathy is a fraud. So
Absolutely.
to say you're fine with that is...
No, that's not what I said.
I don't believe it's fine to do.
That's not what I said.
He's against homeopathy.
Yeah, homeopathy is a fraud.
Okay, my bad.
Total
sorry.
fraud. I'm not an idiot, AO. Jeez.
I know that. But
We don't know that for sure, Steve.
We don't
You could always
the
go off the
jury's
crazy
still out on that one.
But then you get things like for instance, turmeric does have some medicinal properties, but then you had people who come along and say, "Oh, turmeric will cure everything," which is total bullshit.
Yeah, no,
and the medicinal properties that it does have are pretty minimal, and we found better things than turmeric.
Yeah, but look at Tommy's shtick.
To expand.
Real quick. Tommy's shtick is look at eat well and get sunlight. Okay, fine. Everybody, great. We all think that's a wonderful thing to do. But that's
No.
again. Wait. Hang on.
Either.
That's like saying if you want to
Sunlight.
That's like saying if you want to make money, buy low stocks and sell high. Great. Okay, it's true. But it doesn't fucking get you rich. You have to know how to do that. To cure cancer, right? There involves a hell of a lot of education you require to even have a grasp of the material, more or less, to find a cure for it.
Even the average person doesn't realize that there is not a cancer. There are hundreds of cancers, and they are all genetically different.
Yes.
So there is never going to be a cure for cancer. You have to cure them all individually.
Yes.
Okay, well, I learned of a hypothesis recently that is being actually tested clinically, in which they were able to genetically modify our own defense system so that it could target cancer cells.
Nice.
And that wouldn't actually need to address all kinds of cancer.
It could be.
So there is medically.
That's only been out like the last couple of weeks.
Most people do.
Fair enough.
I do understand what you said. Most people do think that cancer is just cancer, and it's really not. But I do think there is possibly ways to deal with it.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Like
that's relatively new.
Not a thing.
Yeah, that was only like last month they came out or something like that.
And
Well, no. I posted it
like
I posted it a couple months ago on the GDC.
I know it hasn't been very long, because I was reading about it.
that.
All right, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do have the things
That's
to do,
right.
and I'm not kidding. I think there was a great discussion. I think we all agree that there needs to be something done as far as addressing the ethical issues of dealing with these people. I, for one, have made my positions very clear. Obviously, I don't feel comfortable engaging or having them in any form to promote any of their stuff while they're doing the things that they're doing. Calling people Nazis, advocating B-17, I am not comfortable with. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Call
Being
someone a Nazi
sexist
for no
about it,
reason.
too.
You learned your stock in the argument.
Yeah, and I understand people throw that stuff around, but eventually I
That's
had
a cop-out argument.
I have to draw a line
God,
somewhere.
man.
They'll have to draw the line in the sand somewhere.
Yeah.
And so,
I agree with that position, Steve.
Heretic,
well, you're
woman, are you
smart.
staying around? Or sticking around?
But
I
you
should
guys,
say.
you guys could go to the GDC. Go to
can.
Dave's channel. Dave, by the way, is doing hangouts lately, so you know he's got something going on.
Hey,
So, or you go to
hold
Heretics
on,
or whatever.
So was I.
Oh,
So
midnight is
was I.
too. So midnight, you know. So if you guys want to carry this over,
Ew,
knock yourself
midnight
out.
streams? That sounds gross.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up.
But anyways, before I take off and end this, I do want to say, AO, great video that you just had. She had one on quote colorism. I agree with her on it. Colorism is fucking racism. Get the fuck over it, people. Colorism is fucking racism. How could you not think otherwise?
Majestic colorism.
It is so fucking stupid. Anyone watching this that is a snowflake or a libtard, just please stop inventing new words to make yourself feel better.
Amen. And thank you very much
I
for
agree.
watching.